A few weeks ago, I was talking to a guy in his mid-late 50s. We'll call him John. Somehow in conversation, it came to light the day before he'd been trying to pluck up the courage to ask a Filipina for her number. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it can take a bit of courage. Now, apparently, he'd spent several days rehearsing what he was going to say to this girl. He had planned his approach, his attack, and his retreat. And I could see from the agitated expressions on his face as he was conveying the details on this that the outcome of whatever had happened had been a negative impact on him. So I listened intently as he told me the following. This Filipina girl in her mid-20s apparently worked in a shop, for example, a sari store or something of that kind, which John visited maybe 3 times a week. On occasion, he would see the girl there, and there was something about her qualities, her attributes, or whatever it was that he found very appealing. Now, apparently, she would always be polite, smile, and was pleasant. After 2 or 3 weeks, he decided that he was going to ask her for her number, something he'd never done before, with a view to obviously going out on potentially a date, maybe for a coffee or something, and then take it from there. So on that fateful day in question, after spending most of the morning planning his words, he went along to the shop on that day that he knew the girl would be there and purchased his usual drink and snack. As she gave him his change, he decided to pop the question and ask her for a number, whilst at the same time suggesting that they might want to go for a coffee somewhere in her free time. There was a pause, a bit of a silence for a few moments, as he waited in anticipation, after which the girl politely declined his request, but thanked him for his interest and admiration of her and left it there. To his dismay, he hurried home and spent the rest of the day deeply regretting ever thinking of it. But it was something that he said in an almost hateful way that caught my attention, and that was this. Well, it's her loss. It's her own fault. What she could have had with me, she'll never find a guy like me anywhere else. And she's just too stupid to realize it anyway. Now, up until this point, I'd been fairly polite and patiently listened to him. But on hearing these words, I decided it was time to interject and set this guy straight. And I said this. During any of your interactions with this girl, was there any sign in her behavior that led you to believe that she was interested in you other than in a normal interaction of person? Did she smile or wink at you? Did she blow you a kiss? Did she say anything suggestive to you that might give the average person the impression that she was interested in you in the way that you hoped? To which he responded, well, not really, no. She didn't, but she was all so nice to me when I saw her. So on that basis, everything beyond that has come from your own thinking and your own interpretation. In which case, she never asked you to bother her. She never asked for your advances towards her. She certainly didn't ask you to request a number and suggest that you go and do anything together. So when you have decided to do this, the risk has all been on your shoulders. You planned it, you did it, and more importantly, you're the one that seems to have misinterpreted her normal, friendly but polite interaction with a customer as being more than that. I then went on to say this. So it's on that basis that it's not her loss, not in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the fact that she chose not to give you her number tells you unequivocally that she had no interest in you in that way, and that the quicker she could get you out of the shop and on with her day, the better. She may not have been the slightest bit interested in you or attracted to you in the way that you'd hoped for at all. And in respect of her being stupid, that's just ridiculous to say, because in her mind, there was no opportunity, nothing for her to miss out on. There's nothing for her to realize, and she's free to continue to move forward in her life until she does find somebody that she can be mutually happy with. To which she interrupted and said, so then what you're saying is that it's my loss. I then continued to explain, no, it's not your loss either. Although you wouldn't think it by your behavior on the way that you seem to be nursing the wounds of your wounded ego and pride. However, you have chosen to embark on a course of action that just hasn't turned out the way you'd hoped. That it's pure and simple. If you reframe the situation, you now know with absolute certainty that this is definitely not the girl for you, as your interest in her was not mutual. And let's be honest, who really wants a person that doesn't want them? True, it does happen on occasion. You can't force the person you're attracted to be attracted to you. So it's a non-starter. In which case, all that's happened is you're in a position to continue your search for a girl who will feel those kind of feelings towards you, and therefore it's mutual, which can lead to a relationship where both of you can ultimately be happy, which really is the essence of what a relationship is all about, mutual happiness. You now have put yourself one step closer to finding that person, and at the same time learn new references in how you view a situation where you are rejected. In fact, it's no loss to either of you. It's just something that happened and a lesson learned. And on that basis, you shouldn't be deterred from being bold enough to ask somebody for her number or to go for a coffee again because you crossed the threshold and jumped the first hurdle. Now you just have to keep on doing it until you get the result that you want. And after a few rejections, your skin will be thicker and it won't matter to you as much. Especially if you view it in the way that I've just explained. From now on, try to think in terms of a numbers game instead of a potential date that may not happen. Before you ask a girl, just expect that you might not be her cup of tea, and therefore there's a reasonable chance that she's going to say no. Be polite, respectful, wish her a nice day, and understand that that one is just not the right one for you. And after a while, you'll be so comfortable in doing this. But on one of those occasions, one of those girls will turn around and actually surprise you, probably with the one you least expected. So the best thing to say is, no problem, it's fine. I just thought I'd be cheeky and ask anyway. So go get them. Sometimes as humans, we embark on a certain course of action. We become so focused on a certain outcome, usually on the reward, that we forget and fail to consider the risk element of the risk-reward equation, which can result in blinkered limitation on thinking. And what we should do is consider both sides intelligently. And reframing a scenario or a situational problem with more positive, empowering references, the situation inside of the frame also changes completely. And as a result, we're in a position to make a much more informed, balanced, a realistic assessment, which ultimately can make us much more emotionally intelligent and able to cope better with life setbacks such as my buddy John. And as for John now, well, with his new gained perspective, let's just say there's no stopping him now.